Imagine over 2,000 years ago, a man standing at the pinnacle of power. Marcus Aurelius, the ruler of the vast Roman Empire, commanded lands that stretched across millions of miles. He held sway over the lives of countless people, with the authority to make or break, to grant mercy or mete out death. Armies moved at his command, nations bowed to his will. With such power, he could have chosen a life of indulgence, surrendering to luxury and pleasure. The weight of his rule could have easily driven him into madness. But here's the astonishing truth. He didn't fall. He didn't break. How did he manage this? How did he navigate the crushing responsibilities, the endless pressures, and the inevitable struggles that come with absolute power? This is not the story of a man who simply endured. It's the story of a man who thrived under the greatest weight history could place on his shoulders. And we are fortunate, for Marcus left behind a record of his thoughts and his practices. Meditations, his private journal, grants us a rare look into the daily life of this Philosopher King. Today I want to uncover some of these secrets with you, the habits and routines that helped Marcus Aurelius maintain his balance amidst the chaos, the routine that made him a legend. Like all journeys, it begins with the morning. But for Marcus Aurelius, mornings were a battlefield of their own. We know this because he wrote about it in Meditations. Waking up early was not in his nature, yet he forced himself to rise with the dawn. How many of us struggle with this? How easy it is to surrender to the warmth of the bed and let the day slip away. Marcus felt it too. He wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. Is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm?" And then he urges himself further. "But were you made to feel nice?" He attacked the dawn, starting his day not with comfort, but with purpose. Imagine him, the most powerful man on earth, carving out precious moments in the quiet hours of the morning, before the inquiries and requests, before the bad news and battles. He found stillness. In those moments, he studied philosophy, wrote in his journal, and prepared his mind for the trials ahead. He wasn't just preparing for his day. He was preparing for life. What he didn't do, however, was what so many of us do today: reach for his phone the moment he awoke. We're often slaves to our devices before we've even stepped out of bed, plunging into a sea of notifications and to-do lists, dragged out of our peace and into the chaos. But Marcus chose a different path. He took this early time to enter a state of reflection. He opened Book 2 of Meditations with the words, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He wasn't pessimistic. He was a realist. He anticipated the struggles of the day, not to dread them, but to prepare his mind to face them calmly and wisely. Marcus knew that to expect smooth sailing was to set oneself up for disappointment. "The unexpected blow lands heaviest," Seneca once said. Marcus mastered this philosophy by practicing what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By visualizing the day's difficulties, he trained himself to remain unshaken when they inevitably came. But Marcus was not simply a man of contemplation. He was a man of action. With a weighty empire to rule, he reminded himself to concentrate on your tasks like a Roman. His predecessor and stepfather, Antoninus, was his model. Think about this. Antoninus planned out his day so meticulously that he even scheduled bathroom breaks. That's the level of discipline Marcus aspired to. Throughout the day, he tackled a multitude of duties. Decisions had to be made, cases heard, crowds addressed, armies led. Yet he never let his mind wander from the task at hand. He was practicing what we today might call deep work, a state of focused, undistracted effort on the job at hand. In his writings, he implores himself, "Get used to winnowing your thoughts." If someone asked what he was thinking about, he should be able to answer. No distractions, no waste. Imagine his days filled with endless meetings, discussions with advisors, generals, ministers, and foreign ambassadors. He was briefed on strategies and wartime efforts. Yet, Marcus knew the importance of listening. He writes of learning from Antoninus when to yield the floor to experts and how to accept criticism. To Marcus, a correction wasn't a blow to his pride, but a favor, a gift. He believed that the harm is to remain in error, to not correct it. Despite the chaos that surely surrounded him, he approached each task with balance and clarity. But here's where Marcus shines even brighter. He was not all about business. We often think that success demands a life consumed by work, but Marcus knew better. He found time for physical exercise, boxing, wrestling, horseback riding. He took walks, observing the natural world around him. In meditations, he notes the grain bending under its weight, the foam on a boar's mouth, the brow of a lion. This wasn't idle observation. This was a man finding beauty, simplicity, and peace in the world amidst the turmoil of his responsibilities. Unlike many Romans, he avoided the Colosseum's bloodthirsty games. The violence disgusted him, yet he had to attend, often seen reading or lost in thought amidst the roar of the crowd. Imagine that, a man surrounded by chaos, yet retreating into his mind, finding a sanctuary within himself. "You can retreat inward to your own soul at any moment," he once wrote. And that's precisely what he did. While others clamored for distraction, Marcus Aurelius found solace in philosophy. Despite the calm he cultivated, his reign was anything but peaceful. Historic floods, the devastating Antonine Plague, wars, invasions, coups. His rule was marked by constant crisis. One historian even remarked, "Marcus does not have the good fortune he deserves." The stress was unimaginable, the burdens seemingly endless. But Marcus didn't flee from them. He knew he had to carry these burdens. People depended on him. And to cope, he turned to his journaling, his philosophy. This wasn't just a coping mechanism, it was his armor. Even in the face of betrayal, he remained stoic. When his trusted general, Avidius Cassius, betrayed him, Marcus didn't lash out. He stepped back, took a deep breath, and reflected. How many of us could say the same in such a situation? He saw this treachery not as an affront, but as a chance to demonstrate restraint, to show the Romans how a nation should handle civil strife. He embodied his own teaching. The best revenge is to not be like that. Marcus knew the importance of balance. When he wasn't ruling, he was reading, writing, and engaging in physical activities. He debated philosophy with his teachers, read the great thinkers, and filled his writings with their teachings. He wasn't a casual reader. He read to learn, to grow, to improve. Seneca spoke of a nightly ritual of self-review, and Marcus took this to heart. Each evening, he put himself up for review in the pages of Meditations, holding himself accountable. And then there was memento mori, the contemplation of death. You could leave life right now, he reminded himself. This wasn't meant to be morbid. It was meant to ground him in the present, to remind him of what truly mattered. In letters to his mentor Fronto, he wrote how he would trade everything for more time with his wife. He tucked his children in at night, knowing that tomorrow was never promised. Why rush through life, he asked himself, when every moment is so fragile, so fleeting? And at the end of each day, after hours of being celebrated, honored, saluted by soldiers, and presented with gifts by kings, he actively reminded himself not to be Caesar-fied, as he called it. He looked at the feasts, the jewels, the lavishness around him, and thought, "This is a dead pig. This is a rock pulled out of a mine. This is just metal." He He refused to let the world inflate his ego. We too must remember, success, power, fame, they can warp our perception of who we are. As he closed his eyes each night, he asked himself, if this was the last day of my life, what do I have to show for it? He embraced the Stoic truth that we are all dying a little each day. Each sunset was both an ending and a preparation for a possible new beginning. If I wake up tomorrow, he would think, I get a second chance. How will I make it better? This was his daily routine, a life both unfathomably distant from ours and yet so relatable. For beneath the armor, beyond the throne, Marcus Aurelius was a man just like us. And from his life we draw lessons that echo across the centuries, reminding us of the virtues we too can strive for.